Good morning, boys and girls. So today we're reading Shiloh Chapter 13. I'm back to not sleeping again. Everything I think of to try, I've already thought on and turned down. Even thought of Dad and me driving to Middlebourne and going to the county courthouse to report a man who's mean to his dogs, thinking maybe they won't let Judd have Shiloh back again. Dad says that's where we'd have to go, all right, but how am I going to prove that about Judd? Think about it, he says. I have been thinking about it. Do I really suppose they'd send an investigator all the way out to Middlebourne to see about a man said to kick his dogs? And if they did, do I think Judd's going to tell the man, yes, indeed, he does kick him? Do I think the investigator's going to hide out in the bushes near Judd Travers' place for a week just to see for himself? Tyler County hasn't hardly got the money to investigate reports of children being kicked, Dad says, much less dogs. Even if I told the animal rights people that I found a dog with a bullet hole in his head up near Judd's house, that don't prove Judd was the man who killed it. I go out to talk to Dad about it some more, and while he's chopping wood, he just says, son, it's hard, I know. But sometimes you just got to do what has to be done. It's Judd's dog, and there's no getting around it. Ma tries to make me feel better. She says, at least I brought some joy and kindness into the life of a dog that never had any before, and that Shiloh will never forget me. But that even makes it worse. I wish he could forget. Keep thinking how Shiloh's going to look at me when we drive him over to Judd's, and my eyes fill up again. Becky, she's been crying too. So has Darlene. The one good thing about it now is that the whole family loves Shiloh, and we can talk about him out loud, and there's not one thing we can do. 3 more days, and we got to give him up. I walked down to Friendly on Friday to talk with David Howard. David feels almost as bad as I do. I hardly finished telling about Shiloh, and he's got tears in his eyes already. David Howard's 30 pounds heavier and bigger than me, and he still don't care who sees him cry. I've been thinking, David, I say, you got relatives in Ohio, don't you? He nods. You think any of them would take Shiloh? Could you call him up and ask if they could drive down here tomorrow and take him back with him? And I'll tell Judd we let Shiloh out one day and he never came back. More lies. But David's shaking his head already. It's only Uncle Clyde and Aunt Pat, and she's allergic to dogs. They had one once and had to give him up. On the way back home, I'm thinking about someplace really good I could hide that dog. The old gristmill, maybe, up by the bridge. The door's padlocked, but it don't take much to get in, because top of the building's open where some of the roof's blown away. I bet I could hide Shiloh in there for 10 years and he'd never make a sound. But what kind of life is that? Couldn't ever take him anywhere except after dark. Even then, he'd be so close to Judd's place, the other dogs would probably sniff him out. Slowly, the minutes and hours of Friday tick by, and then it's Saturday, our last day with Shiloh. We give him every little treat we can think of. I wonder we don't make him sick. And after supper, we set out in the back porch like we usually do. Becky and Darlene are rolling around in the grass, and Shiloh limps out there to join in the fun. I show Becky how if you lay down on your stomach with your arms over your face, Shiloh will work to turn you over. Both girls have to try it, and Shiloh does just like I said, trying his best to get those girls up on their feet. If Becky ever fell in the creek, I bet Shiloh would pull her out, Ma says. If I ever saw a snake, I bet Shiloh would kill it for me, says Darlene. I got sadness inside me growing so big I feel like I'm about to burst. That night I sleep a little bit, wake a little bit, sleep a little bit, wake some more. About dawn, however, I know what I gotta do. I get up as quiet as can be. Soon as Shiloh hears me, of course, he's out of his box. Shh, Shiloh, I say, my finger to my lips. He watches me a moment, then crawls back in his box, good as ever. I dress, pull on my sneakers, take me a slice of bread from the loaf on the counter and a peach off the tree in the yard. Then I take the shortcut through the East Woods towards Judd Travers. It's the only thing left to do. I'd talk to Dad, to Ma, to David, and anybody who's got more idea what to do than they did before. What I'm fixing to do is talk to Judd Travers straight and tell him I'm not going to give Shiloh back. Rehearse my lines so often I can say them by heart. What I don't know, though, is what Judd's going to say, or what he's going to do. I'll tell him he can beat me, punch me, kick me, but I'm not going to give that dog up. I'll buy Shiloh from Judd, but he won't sell. But if he won't sell and comes to get him, I'll take Shiloh and head out in the other direction. Only way he's going to get his dog back is to take me to court, and then I'll tell the judge how Judd treats his animals. Halfway through the woods, I'm thinking that what I'm about to do can get my dad in a whole lot of trouble. Around here, it's serious business when you got to quarrel with your neighbor and you got to carry it as far as the law. Folks ain't that fond of Judd, and most of them like my dad, but when it comes to taking a man's property, I figure they'll side with Judd. I'm not making life one bit easier for my parents or Darylyn or Becky, but I just can't give up Shiloh without a fight. Will he shoot me? That thought crosses my mind too. Some kid got shot down in Mingo County once. Easy as pie for Judd Travers to put a bullet hole in my head and say he didn't see me. I got my feet pointed towards Judd Travers' place though, and I ain't about to turn back. Still so early in the morning, the mist is rising up off the ground, and when I come to a stretch of field, it looks like the grass is steaming. Sky's light, but the sun hasn't showed itself yet. You live in hill country, it takes a while for the sun to rise. You gotta scale the mountains first. I'm practicing being quiet. What I hope is to get to Judd's house before he's wide awake, take him by surprise. He sees me coming half a mile off without Shiloh. He's likely to figure what I gotta say and have his answer ready. I want to be sitting there on his porch the moment he gets out of bed. A rabbit goes lickety-split in front of me and then disappears. I went out hunting with Dad once, and he said that when you first scare up a rabbit, it hops a short way and then stops and looks back. That's when you gotta freeze. Can't move nothing but your eyeballs, Dad says. What you have to do is look for that shiny black dot, the rabbit's eye. If you look for the whole rabbit, you almost never see him because he blends into the scenery. So I don't move a muscle and look for a shiny black dot. And there it is. I wonder what's going on inside that rabbit's head. If its heart's pounding fierce. No way I could tell it I wasn't going to do it harm. So I go on, back into the second stretch of woods, heading for that second field. I'm just about to come out of the trees when I stop dead still again, for right there in the meadow is a deer, a young doe. She's munching on something, and every so often she stops, looks up, and goes on eating again. Hardest thing in the world for me is to see how anybody could shoot an animal like that. Then I think a couple winters ago, we hardly had any meat on our table, and I guess I can see how a father with 3 kids could shoot a deer. I hope we'll never have to, though. I'm just about to step out into the meadow when I hear, bang! It's the sound of a rifle. It splits the air and echoes back against the hills. The doe takes out across the meadow, heading for the woods. Its front legs rear up, then its back legs as it leaps. Its tail a flash of white. Bang! The rifle sounds again, and this time the deer goes down. I can't move. One part of me wants to go to the deer. The other part knows that somebody's out there with a rifle shooting a deer out of season. And before I can decide whether to go on or turn back, out of the woods on the other side steps Judd Travers, rifle in hand. Tomorrow we will read chapter 14 and find out how the interaction with Judd and Marty goes. See you guys later today if you are coming on for my office hours at 12 o'clock. All right, see ya. Stay safe.